What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be installing a winch onto our 5th gen 4Runner. Alright, so winches are super important. If you're doing a lot of backcountry travel or off-roading in the middle of nowhere, especially by yourself, it's great to have a winch. It can get you out of sticky situations where you're stuck. You can also help pull other people out who are stuck, or you can remove obstacles on the road. Say there's a tree that's fallen, you chop it, you can move it out of the way. So they are a really handy thing to have. It's definitely a must if you're doing a lot of off-roading. I started doing a lot with my family, and I was in some situations at times where I was like, if I get stuck, this isn't good because there's nobody around to pull me out. What I chose was the Evo 10s winch by Warn. There's also the Smittybilt X20 winch. Those are both 10,000 pound winches for the 5th gen 4Runner. For the 5th gen 4Runner, the sweet spot is about 10,000 pounds. When picking a winch for your vehicle, what you want to do is take the weight of the vehicle. So mine's probably sitting at about a little over 6,000 pounds with all the add-ons that I've done. You want to take the weight of the vehicle, times that by 1.5, and that will give you the number of the amount of pulling power that you want your winch to have to get that vehicle out. So a 10,000 pound winch is good for me because that would equal about 8,000 to 9,000 pounds. But let's jump into the install of the Warn 10s Evo winch, and I'll show you just how easy it is to install a winch onto your 5th gen 4Runner. All right, so this is everything that came with our Warn Evo 10s winch. We have the controller here with the wiring or cable. We have our negative battery cable and our positive battery cables on the back of the winch. We have our hook. We have our bolts to secure our winch onto our low pro bumper or whatever you're using to secure it down with. You'll have 4 of these bolts. If you need longer ones, they do supply longer ones, just depending on the thickness of your low pro winch bumper. Basically, you'll have the bolt, lock washer, flat washer, and these will feed up through the bottom into these. These actually slide into little channels on the bottom of the winch here, and that's what these bolts actually thread into. We have the cover here, and we have the bolts or the hardware for the cover to secure it onto your winch bumper, and that's everything that it will come with.
All right, so the first step is to remove your front bumper cover. You'll have 3 bolts in the wheel well. They're 10 millimeter. Once you're done that, pull it out and pull it away. You can also push those plastic tabs in. Underneath the bumper, you'll have 2 more 10 mil bolts. You'll also need to unplug your fog lights, open up your hood, and then you'll have about 13 push clips to remove. Once those are out, you can pop this piece of plastic out. Then you'll have a 10 mil in the center to undo. You will have 2 pop tabs on the left and right, just near the headlights. So pop those up using a flathead screwdriver. Remove them, and then you'll have 4 more further down to pop up as well. Use a flathead, just pop them up and gently remove them.
All right, so once we got all our clips off, all of our fasteners undone, our fog lights disconnected, our front cover here is taken off, we're now ready to pop the bumper off. So we'll just peel around the side here. We'll pop this. All right, so with our bumper off, we're ready to put our fair lead on here. So we'll take those bigger bolts that were individually packaged, and basically what we're gonna do on the back side, it'll be nut, lock washer, and washer. All right, we'll take our torque wrench here and we'll tighten these down to 30 to 35 foot-pounds of torque. Perfect. All right, so we're gonna put our winch down in here, but this is in the way. I don't think we'll be able to get our winch down in this spot with this AC line in the way, so we'll have to undo these 2 10 mils on each side and just move this up to slide it in. Just undoing the lower one seems to be enough. Great, now you can see how it moves a lot, so I think we'll be able to slide our winch down in here.
All right, at this point, we're now ready to prep our winch for install. So slide those 4 threaded bolts into the bottom of the winch. Then you're going to go ahead and undo the bolt at the back and then put in your negative battery cable. Just tighten this down until it is snug.
All right, so I took this black AC line and I took a zap strap and I actually zap strapped this up just to this back support here in the middle. It's tight, but it just fits in there. Oh yeah, that AC line. You'll have to have that AC line back as far as possible. But you can see it's down in there, looks pretty good. All right, so let's try bolting it in now from the bottom.
Before you bolt it in, make sure you can pull that line through the front. So put it in free spool and just pull the line out before you bolt it down, because you might not be able to access the line. Once you get that line out though, you can start feeding those bolts in, all 4 of them. Basically, you want to have bolt, lock washer, and then flat washer. So flat washer will be contacting your low pro winch bumper, and then tighten down to 30 to 35 foot-pounds of torque.
All right, so the winch is in, it's bolted in. I've just ran the wires. So the positive and negative wire here, the big black and red one, what I did is I just ran it along this cross member, and it has these little holes in it that go along, and I ran zap straps through them. So I got my negative coming up under here, the positive comes up, the positive kind of comes up behind this little kind of middle support, and then it joins up with the negative. And then they both go through this little area here, which has the cooler line going through it. So it's next to that. And then it actually comes up kind of under the headlight, and it will actually come up right under where the battery is. So it's a perfect place to run the wires. All right, so what we'll do is we'll let this cooler line rest back down and see where it sits. We do not want this sitting on top of our winch. I've heard a lot of reports of people that let this contact their winch. It eventually rubs the line out, and the repair job is like $400. So if it does touch your winch, you know, try to do it in a way that it doesn't. And if it does, put an insulator around it, some really thick rubber, and check on it periodically. Otherwise it might rub right through the rubber and into the line and damage the line. So just something to be wary about. But mine looks okay, so let's secure it back down here.
All right, so you're now ready to put your hook onto your line. Just feed that bolt through, stick that cotter pin in, and you'll be good to go. Just make sure you bend your cotter pin better than I did.
All right, our wires are nicely tucked in. Our winch is all bolted in. Everything's bolted in nicely. Our wires are coming up in a good spot for us to connect it to our battery. So we're now ready to put the bumper cover back on. So let's do that. All right, so I've disconnected the positive and negative terminal. Now I'm gonna feed my wires through. So just kind of go under the headlight here, and there's an opening. Bring it through here, tuck it down and around the side of the battery and come over here. I don't want anything on this side of the battery. There's a fan over here, all kinds of pulleys and stuff like that this could get jammed up into. Just not a good idea to run it this way. We'll run it this way, around and up. So, and that's where a factory wiring harness runs anyways. So that one's in the right spot here. So let's connect that positive to the top here of this terminal. And that's a 12 millimeter. Great, we'll hook our positive onto there. And tighten that back up. Great. So there's the positive side done. Now we'll do the same thing with our negative here.
All right, so to keep a stock look and to put my positive cover back on, I used an X-Acto knife and just removed a bit of plastic, and then I was able to push it down and clip it into place. Looks nice and factory. So you will need to have access to the top of your winch to engage it and to put it in free spool mode, and also to plug in your controller. So it is important that you remove a certain amount of plastic from that top cover. I removed it, and then I put some trim edge around. I'll leave a link in the description to where I got the trim edge, but this does have to be big enough to fit your whole arm in.
All right, so as you can see, installing that winch bumper is super easy to do. The hardest part is taking that bumper cover off. Once you do get your winch in though, you're gonna need some recovery gear. I'd recommend American Gear. They have a fantastic recovery package and it's super reasonably priced. I'll leave a link in the description to where I found that for mine. That's the stuff I used at the start of the video. I also switched the hook on the front to a red block. It's a 16,000 pound kind of block hook. I'll leave a link in the description to where I found that as well. I hope you guys found this video useful, and if you did, please like and subscribe. I hope to come up with more videos, and I always appreciate your guys' support. Hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye now.